Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, breadwinners, thread spinners, and all those in between, you're now watching the TNF podcast with your favorite bipolar rock and roller, Mr. J. Curtis Strickland. Just want to announce some of the upcoming shows we've got on the 7th of April. That's going to be Sunday. Hoya from Madball, Scarhead, Smoking Word TV, and Smoke AD. And it's going to be at 5 p.m. Joe Mustin and Johnny Smurdell from Advent and Beloved. That's going to be on the 14th. It's Sunday at 5 p.m. Scott Vogel from Terror, Buried Alive, Despair, Slugfest. That's going to be on the 21st at 5 p.m. That's a Sunday. And a whole bunch more awesome shows coming up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is a very funny comedian that's been working the LA circuit for quite some time. He's can you hear me? He was
Oh, I hear
tapping
you
on his
fine. Sorry.
headphones. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no, I just like to smack myself on the side of the head every now and again, just to remind myself that the dream is really happening. This is real.
That's right, man. Alex Elkin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, man. Really good. Really good. I'm home, which is nice. That's kind of a vacation for me, and I'm just glad to be here on the show.
Were you just out on the road?
Always, man. I don't know if you follow the Careers on Fire tour, but it's a constant road battle, man. This weekend I'm going to be in Manteca, California, at the Deaf Puppy Comedy Club. It's a brand new club that just opened up, and I'm really excited to be kicking it off with them. And then it's a drive back home, and then I hit the road again. I'm jumping on a cruise ship. I'm going to who knows, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah,
Bando
it's
said that
always.
you're working the cruise ships as well. That must have some interesting stories that come with that too.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Plus, I work. I don't work for the good ones. I work for Carnival. Uh,
Oh,
but no, but that's where the crazy stories come from, man. It's just nothing but a trailer park on the water, man. It's just a floating Walmart, and I love it. They're my people. These are my folks. So
that's
we have a
awesome.
really
Well,
good time. Yeah.
well, yeah. Let's delve into your history a little bit. So, did you come from like a performance background prior to comedy? Did you kind of grow up doing, uh, you know, like acting or anything like that? How did you get bit by the comedy bug?
Huh. You know, when I was really, really young, we're talking like 4 years old, I went to Jewish church with my great grandmother in Palm Springs. I don't know if you know, it's Friday night services, they call it. And it's customary for the firstborn male Jew to drink the sacramental wine. And I did that. And it, I played it up. I hammed it up. I didn't like it. I made faces. I did, I spoke Hebrew. Anyway, everybody really liked it. The congregation was laughing. Even the rabbi was laughing. And the only reason I bring that up is even at that age, I didn't know what it was, but that feeling I got from the audience laughing and that rush that I felt from being accepted and going like, hey, that kid's got it or whatever it is. I don't know. I loved it. I wanted it. I wanted it to keep coming, and I didn't know what it was. But from then on, honestly, man, it's just I was always the class clown. I was always the one yucking it up, getting the class to laugh. The problem is I didn't even realize it some of the time. I was, I'd say something and the class would laugh, and then I'd get in trouble and be like, I see it now. I didn't realize it, but it sounded funny. And I came to this realization, and it's not stroking my ego or anything, but I just kind of think funny. I just think funny. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. Sometimes it gets laughs. Sometimes it sounds stupid. But I think funny, and I just didn't know what else to do with it other than stand up. So when I learned that it was a job that you could do, I'd sit around and I'd listen to like old Smothers Brothers records. I still got them here. Cosby, oh, God forbid, and Steve Martin, all the Carlin and Pryor and all those guys. And I'd sit around pissing my pants laughing about them. And I didn't realize that, okay, they're just standing up in front of an audience talking. And finally, when I saw Louis Anderson on TV doing stand-up comedy years later, I realized, fat kids can do this too. And I thought, you know what? I want to try it. So when I was 14 years old, I wrote an act. This was crazy. I popped up in the middle of the night and I saw myself on stage doing this act. And I picked out what I could remember from the dream because it was killing. And I wrote it down on my little compact computer, compact Presario. This is 1994, and I was 93 actually. And so I wrote out this little act, and I did a stand-up routine for the high school talent show, San Dimas High School Football Rules. And I ended up winning the damn thing. And it gave me this, first of all, it just gave me the confidence that I could do it. Two, it gave me the thrill that I'd been looking for my whole life since I was a little kid. And it encouraged it, which made me think, oh, maybe I could do this for a living. So that was a long way of putting it, but that's what happened. That's where I came from.
It's awesome, man. And so with that, did you pursue any sort of like, going to like a second city or like UCB or something like that, some sort of, I guess, professional comedy school? Or did you just kind of get out there and just start going to open mics and
Yeah. No, I didn't. I didn't chase any professional route. I pretty much kept it in high school while I was in high school. Um, when I was about 16 or 17, I'd have my buddies that could drive help me branch out, and I'd go out to like the Comedy Store in LA or the Laugh Factory or the Improv, and I'd do their little potlucks and the Sunday nights. And because I was under 18 or 21, they'd have to rush me in through the kitchen, and I'd go and do my 3 minutes, and they'd rush me back out. And I did all that, and it was it was tough, but it was a way to build an act at the time, or so I thought. But no, I didn't really do anything professionally until I went out to those professional clubs. But what do you say about stand up? It's not like we go to college, and get a degree in jokeology. I got an MBA in punchlines. So you really, it's like boxing, man. You jump in the ring, you start getting hit, you start hitting people. I bombed for 10, 15, 20 years. I still bomb. But I got better and better, and eventually you get paid for it. And so that's kind of what happens. And comedy is weird because as long as you stick with it, you can't fail. The only way to fail at comedy is to stop doing it. Eventually you'll find a monicum of success.
That's awesome, man. And so, um, so you went out there and you started hitting the scene and whatnot. And, I think it's pretty interesting that you do the cruise ship circuit because I can only, like I was saying at the top of the show, I can only imagine that comes with like a slew of really interesting, intricate type stories. Um, so when you went out and started performing, did you notice like, you said you got some good response, but what would be an instance when, you feel like you probably didn't either read the room correctly or like, somebody got, real pissed off or, even a heckler? What's the situation you
Hey,
had
all
with the
that
circuit?
happened in one night. I was early on. I was starting out. I was still doing open mics, and when you're doing open mics, at least back when I was doing open mics, I did open mics back in the 1900s. We'd hitch up the oxen and go down to the comedy shack and do jokes by candlelight. No, we had, it was old school, and we
Yeah.
used to do comedy when it was a time when you could actually, try stuff out, and you didn't have to be afraid of getting canceled, or if the joke didn't work, it fell flat, or in my case, they got really mad. So I was at this open mic. I don't even remember. It was somewhere down in the gritty parts of like El Monte, California, or some high end city like that. It was a pretty big deal, and it was this pizza place that had an outdoor, patio area, and they were doing comedy that night. And I went up and I was bombing. Nobody was laughing. Nobody was paying attention. And so I started making fun of the audience. And there was this Australian guy that had been drinking since the sun came up, apparently. And he was not happy with my set. Oi, what do you think you're doing? You can't come in here and blimey, this is, I can't do the accent, but it was god awful. Really kind of, it's an emergency, crikey, look it, and he's drinking and he's pissed and he doesn't like my stuff. Well, it turns out the people I was making fun of and the whole group that wasn't laughing was a deaf group that was gathering there for
Oh
pizza
no.
that night.
Oh
And I'm sitting there making fun of them, like, hey, you guys speak English? What you mean, like, you guys don't like comedy? What's wrong with you? Is it that?
no.
And I didn't realize they're deaf. And this guy
No.
knew, and he got upset and he wanted to fight me. Like he wanted to all out just brawl over jokes. And thankfully I had a buddy with me who had my back, and he kind of, backed me up while we got in the truck and headed out. I'm not fighting the crocodile hunter on 16 Fosters, at an El Monte gig that probably paid drink tickets and exposure to what? Deaf people? This was the worst. Anyway, that's just one experience of somebody just getting really mad, and they get all in their feelings, and they think they're going to just come up, hey, you can't say that, Hagrid, or whatever they want to call me.
Yeah, man. And what did you find out like mid joke while you were telling the joke, or was it like, you got off the stage and like, hey, that's the reason this guy's so pissed off about you is because hey, these people over here are
Well,
deaf.
he was screaming it. Yeah, he
Oh, while you
when
were
he
on the
finally
stage.
yeah, when he was finally coherent, and when I was finally understanding because he was like, "Oh, you can't say that," "Oi," and I don't know if we could swear on here, but he's using f bombs and telling me what I can do with myself, and calling me a maternal fornicator, all that kind of stuff. So I was just, I'm figuring this guy's just drunk and mad, but it turns out, he's like, these people are deaf. They can't understand a word you're saying. You're right. I'm going to knock you, he's going to take me
Sure,
to the
sure.
junkyard. That's what I remember him saying. I'm going to take you to the junkyard. Something like that. Like, okay, well, we're going to the junkyard. I go, we're already in El Monte. How much junkier, yardier can we get?
That's fantastic, man. Now
But there's
seem to
tons of
have
those. There's tons of those stories. Horrible people. Horrible people.
you seem to have a real gift for like the accents and the voices. Is that something you've ever done, like cartoons?
No, yeah. Hey, check this
Uh,
out. I'm a I'm a plushie. Hey, this is Derek. Derek is he's a cartoon character on the Tuttle Twins. I don't know if that's picking up. Tuttle Twins cartoon show. Anyway, it's on the Angel Studios app. Anyway, I played Derek and several other cartoon characters on the show. Actually, my kids are on the show too. They're actually playing characters themselves. So,
oh, that's cool.
yeah, it's a family affair. But yeah, it's just hours of watching television and a misspent youth, man. I just sitting there mimicking all the Warner Brothers, the Disney, everything Mel Blanc did, June Foray, Thurl Ravenscroft, all these great voice actors of my generation. I've only named the tip of the iceberg. It's mimicking
If you
them.
were growing up as a kid in the 80s, you would always see Frank Welker's name on everything.
Oh, Frank Welk, yeah. And then I find out my uncle-in-law plays golf with the guy. I
Oh,
can't even get an
whoa.
autograph. I know, and that's incredible. But yeah, Frank Welker, my God, he's the voice. He's literally the voice of a generation.
Yeah,
You
man.
know,
He
yeah.
did a bunch
So
of the
and
Transformers stuff, did
oh,
Ghostbusters, yeah, a bunch.
and if you don't know, he's Freddy from Scooby Doo and has been since the beginning. So we're talking what
That's right.
1969, and
Yeah, yeah,
now
yeah, yeah.
I mean Scooby Doo has gone through several different iterations. But now he's Scooby Doo as well.
Oh,
Paul
wow.
Winchell, the guy that played Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, and he was all these. He did some Transformer stuff as well. I mean, just all these great names. Just following them, mimicking them, doing their voices, trying to mimic what they're trying to say, and do the accents as well. And it would just make my friends giggle, and that was what I was all about
Good,
growing
man.
up. And then I turned it into a job. And I got to tell you, for somebody who doesn't have a job, I stay pretty damn busy with it.
I mean, that's the dream, man. You mentioned that was with Angel Studios. That's the one that did like the Sound of Freedom and
Yeah, they do dry bar comedy. They do The Chosen, if you're familiar with that. They've also got a really cool couple of cartoons out now. David, which is of course the story of King David, and this Wing Feather, which if you're into fantasy Dungeons and Dragons type of stuff, that's a really cool series to watch as well. And It's something you can put the kids in front of, go make dinner, and not worry about them coming to you asking, how come this man was breastfeeding a baby? You don't have that kind of stuff. It's just nice. You can just,
Yeah,
it's wholesome.
right. Yeah, that when I heard about them doing that and like kind of trying to take like a different approach to entertainment, I was like, that's kind of much needed considering like
Is
a lot of the trash that comes out.
Well, isn't that crazy that today to be rebellious is to say, no, we're not going to show you a bunch of sex and the F word, and we're not going to have guys dress up in drag and read kids' stories. We're going to
Yeah.
have, traditional values. The show that I'm on, the Tuttle Twins, it teaches kids all kinds of crap that you don't want them to learn. I mean, God, their First Amendment rights, capitalism, how communism has affected the world. They teach kids about Bitcoin. I mean, it's crazy. You don't want them learning that stuff. You want to make sure they come out of school knowing that, magma is the center of the earth and there's 75 genders.
Those seem like pretty unpopular views to hold in the comedy circuit though. No, I mean, or depending on where you're at, that could go one of two ways, right?
Yeah, I can be pretty not well received. If you put my face on a poster anywhere in Salem, Oregon North, you're going to get some phone calls. So yeah, I think in my line of work, it's very popular to echo chamber this kind of mentality, and repeat these things that I guess we're now discovering to be truths. Me personally, I'm like I said, I come from a different time.
Yeah.
We don't in my house when I read kids to, stories, for bedtime. We don't start with "Once upon a time." We have to start with "Back when only women gave birth." So these views that I hold, yeah, no, not exactly popular, I guess, in the comedy and entertainment community. But in spite of all that, thank God, we've been able to plow through a career and make a decent living and have a good time doing it. So I don't regret a thing, man. You can make your phone calls, you can chalk up the buildings, and you can cross out my posters and tell me that I'm canceled. But it doesn't really work. Facebook's not a real place. So I'm just happy to be anywhere I'm at, and I'm working and I'm living the dream and I'm doing what I love. Yeah, but it's controversial, man. I've had some nasty, hateful things said to me.
Oh, geez. Yeah, and I mean, like, I commend you for being able to, kind of stand your ground in that regard. And like, I think, like you're saying, when certain truths are kind of, learned, it's one of those things where it's like when you see it, you can't unsee it type thing. And so, for people to be able to go and go against a narrative in like the entertainment world, I mean that's takes tremendous strength, I think, like
But
a lot of
that
people
but
like
that's the comedian's job. That's the musician's job. That's the poet's job. It's that's what the minstrel does, man. If he's got any
Mhm.
balls about him, he takes a mirror, holds it up to society, and goes, "Hey, look at this stupid stuff we're doing. Can you?
Yeah.
We were putting 3 masks on. Okay, if you think 2 masks are safer than one, your dad should have worn 4 condoms. I mean, we have to at some point we have to pull the brakes because I don't know what happened in America, but back when I was a kid, we had this crap floating around that anybody could use it. It was just in the atmosphere that we were pulling it down and just using it freely. We called it common sense. And then apparently after 2000 or something, the Backstreet Boys hit the scene and everybody just went, oh, let's set sail for the retard islands. And that's what we did. And everybody was just like, I want it that way. But the job of the comedian, the job of the poet, the job of the minstrel, the musician is to show society its foibles, at least in a way that's entertaining. Because what did I don't know if he was the one that said it, Oscar Wilde, who said, if you're going to, I'm paraphrasing, but if you're going to tell somebody that if you're going to tell them the truth, make sure that you make them laugh. Otherwise, they'll kill you. And that's very true. Nobody likes to hear the truth. Nobody wants to hear that they're fat and ugly. But guess what? Just because you didn't get asked to prom doesn't mean you're a boy. You know what I mean? So there's all kinds of different ways of handling it. And the comedian's job, at least from my perspective, is to make you laugh about it, but make you laugh about it in a truthful way. I don't have anything against um, the trans community, right? If you're going to snip your giblets off, the thing is, I get to giggle about it for a little bit, but after that, we're cool, and I'll buy a Bud Light or whatever you're drinking, and we can commune as one. We can be all right.
Sure.
But the thing is, where I draw the line is when you start challenging what we know, the self-evident truths, right? We hold these truths to be self-evident. Well, self-evident truth is that man and woman are made for one another, and that they procreate, and they procreate throughout the earth, and that's the truth. And when you start telling my kids that that's not the truth, that's where I draw the line. Don't tell my kids that. If you're sitting at my table and Jacob wants to be called Jenny, then you'll be Jenny at my table. But once you start telling my kids that you can you can breastfeed, or whatever, that's where I'm like, oh, okay, all right, game over. That's
Yeah, yeah.
we're not playing anymore.
Um,
And so
uh,
that's what the comic does.
Kevin Upshaw says, "Hey Alex, it's your buddy Kevin Upshaw."
Never heard of him.
Oh, okay.
No. Kevin Upshaw, you got
Sorry,
to check
Kevin.
him out. He's actually a fantastic musician, and he's another one. He's out there. He's grinding. He's working the road. He's building a following, and he's actually very popular, in spite of the fact that he doesn't hold those kind of views that you would expect an entertainer that's gaining a following to hold. But again, it comes down to the fact that we're in this rebellious generation where kids are growing up and they're like, no, I'm going to cut my hair short and I'm going to go to church and I'm going to wait till I get married to have sex. What do you think about that, mom and dad? And you have these parents out here like, what are you talking about? You need to go to Hogwarts and put in a nose ring. And what is this? Only one color for your hair? Oh, what are we going to do? It's a weird, different rebellion. Elvis is
It
dead.
was like
Now
what's his name on Michael J. Fox on Family Ties, how
yeah,
he
they
was
all want
like
to be
the
Alex P.
conservative
Keaton's.
like suit wearing and his parents were like hippie liberals and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, the hippie. Yeah, they want him to wear these, hippie tie dye shirts, and this guy's like, I want to do a double Windsor. You know what I mean? That's where we're at. That's where we're at.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And you mentioned music. Are you a musician as well? Do you play music?
Yeah, I like to play. I play a few instruments, and I've created music, and I've jammed in a few bands, and I love that. I love that part. I like hanging with musicians.
Any anything like what kind of genres you playing?
It kind of depends on the instrument that I'm playing. If I'm on the bass, I want to play a lot of rock and roll and maybe some blues. If I'm the piano, it's going to be ballads. Guitar, it's going to be rock and roll, maybe even some jazz. And then saxophone, of course, it's going to be lead stuff in jazz and things like that. So I like to be all over the place. I like to kind of play anything. I really dig classic rock. So I was in a band called the Hideaways, and we did 60s and 70s cover tunes, and that was a lot of fun. I like to sing and play sax and play bass for that band, and we did some fun stuff.
David King
Yo,
here
David
says,
King.
I met you on Carnival Panorama. Love your act and your conservatism.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, thank you very much. The panorama, that was a long time ago. Thanks for remembering, man. You know what's amazing about my carnival people? I make fun of them because I'm one of them, but they're great, loyal people, man. They show up to gigs. They'll plan it out. They'll get a hotel room. We drove 300 miles because we saw you on the show, but we want to see you here. They're wonderful. I love these people. So there's this stigma about carnival, or not, excuse me, not carnival, but about cruise comedians. You know what I mean? It's like the
Yeah.
stigma of like the band nerd. You remember that? Like, oh, you're in band in school with a nerd. No, man, that's gone. Look, the comics that sit here and crap on cruise comics are, number one, I guarantee you, not working comics.
I
And
was gonna
number
say probably
two,
not working. Yeah.
they're not working comics. And number two, they're just jealous, man. Look, we are doing what we love to do every single night of the week, out there, going to exotic places, being paid for it, and we have a 30-minute shift. I can't think of a much better gig other than being able to go home every night. I can't think of a much better gig to be able to do what I love than that. So it's not uncool. It's really cool. And for those of them that think it's uncool, keep thinking that, because you know what? We don't need you. Stay out. It's a really, really great, fun gig, and it's going to be really disappointing the day I get fired from it.
Let's see. David King says, sorry, it was sunshine.
Oh, the sunshine. Oh, okay. Well, that wasn't that long ago, but it still means something, David. Right here.
Let's see. John M says, "Loved your show on the Elation. Come and found you on here due to your show."
Right on. This is what I'm talking about, man. My carnival people, they come out in droves. They really support, and they're good folks, man. Every single one of them.
How
I
did
love
you
them.
land that gig? Was that something that was like, you know, friend or, they asked
Yeah, it
you
was
or
okay. Yes, I did get referred. I got referred by a comedian. So in 2016, I was lucky enough to win the biggest badasserest comedy competition ever in the history of the world, the San Francisco Comedy Competition. I only say that
s-
because it
I
is.
saw the
There's
video of
no
that
comedy.
actually.
Well, there's no comedy competition that's gone on longer. There's no comedy competition that has more prestigious comedians come out of it, save maybe the Seattle Comedy Competition, which is only a few years younger. But I won San Francisco in 2016, and we're talking big names that came out of that. Robin Williams placed second on the first year it did it. You had
Oh,
Ellen
wow.
DeGeneres, Patton Oswalt, Sinbad, Marsha Warfield, big name comedians that have come out of that, and then well me, but I won it, and in the regular civilian world that probably doesn't mean anything, but in the comedy world it holds a little water, and so I think people started opening up my emails a little bit more after that happened, and so I accredit it to that. And when I was in the competition, I was working with Heath Harmison, who's a really, really funny comic and just an overall great guy, family dude. And he hooked me up with his agent. And they liked me. They went through my background check. I was lucky enough to get sucked in. And I jumped in December of 2019. So I was there for about 3 months before everything went to hell. And I came back about a year and a half later, and things had changed, and it's still fun, but it's not what it was.
Yeah. Surely not. And so that sounds like, yeah, every comic's dream is to be able to, go and work regularly. I can't imagine why anyone would slag on that.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's like you're a musician, yeah.
I play music as well, yeah.
So okay, so all right, so imagine, so the way they see it is either you it's like you're the cover band that never made it, or you're the washed up band that's now doing the casinos. You know what I mean. That's the way comics look at it. Like,
Or
you couldn't make it in
fairgrounds
the
or
LA
something.
scene. You couldn't be a Dave Chappelle, so you're just going to go out and do stand up on cruise ship. Well, first of all, a-hole, do you know how many? I mean, you can count on two hands how many really famous Dave Chappelle comedians that make it to that level. You know what I mean? The rest of us, what they don't know about, the rest of us are out there doing those crappy little one-nighters out in Podunk, Mississippi, and BFE, and we're grinding every night. We're doing that Wednesday night gig, and our check ends in a 9 or a 1, and we have to leave the stage early the night before so we can get to the next gig on time because it's so far away. And there's the corporate comics and the people that are out there grinding and working every day that you don't see on TV and Netflix and the comedy shows or at the store because they're out there on the road. And I'm one of those. And it's not an excuse because I worked with Ralphie May, I worked with Carlos Mencia, I worked with Fluffy, and I'm not dropping names, but the reason I mention them is because I've seen their lives, man, and it's hectic. And fame, that scares the hell out of me. Fame scares the hell out of me. And if I can live my life doing what I love, pay my bills, put the cleats on my kids' feet, and still go to the meets, uh, I've accomplished the dream. That's the goal. I thought I wanted that when I started. When I started at 14, man, I wanted to be Jack Black. I wanted to be in all the movies, and I was, yeah, it's gonna be in your face, man. Yeah, I'm gonna be the actor, and you're gonna see me in films and TV. I'm gonna be everywhere. And then when I saw what that life entailed and not being able to go anywhere without the public criticism, and now with the internet where everybody can sit in their underwear and tell you what a horrible person you are by typing it out, man,
Yeah.
that's frightening to me. And I don't want my kids exposed to that. So I'm happy with what I'm doing. And it's not because I couldn't chase the LA clubs and chase that big dream and go out there and do that. It's not what I wanted. And some comics do want that, and good for you, and chase it. But for me and my family, man, we're gonna do what we love.
John M says, "I was the one who said you sounded like Sam K."
That doesn't narrow it down. That's like the guy that said I looked like Meatloaf or or Fat Aquaman or or Jack Black or Fat Jesus
Let's
or
see.
Chumley from Pawn Stars.
Kevin says, "How is Clee doing?"
You know what? Kevin Cleakley's doing great. As a matter of fact, she got hired onto the Tuttle Twins, and she's doing a character now. She's a alien mermaid fish from another planet who sees visions uncontrollably, and her name is Sep. And she's got a contract and everything. She's up through the next few seasons with me. I'm excited. My son, my 16-year-old, he just got hired to voice Helmut Hubner, who was actually a Hitler youth who was secretly writing pamphlets against the Nazis and was murdered for his trouble back when he was 17 years old, back in 1944 and 1945.
Oh
And
wow.
they're bringing him into one of the episodes, and my son is doing his German accent, yeah, and he's going to play this character, and it's going to be
Cool.
him as this real person.
That's cool. That is sweet, man. And I think it's interesting because a lot of people will know Angel Studios from The Sound of Freedom, and
Yeah,
the I think I recall a story about how it sat on the shelf for like 5 years or something crazy like that for a long
from what
time
I
because I guess they just
understand,
didn't want to release the film.
well, yeah, well, when you say they, it was Disney. Disney bought it.
Somebody didn't want the film released.
Are we not allowed to say the D word? Yeah.
Oh,
They
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
no,
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't know.
well, we're on. I
I
mean,
think
I don't know if you, but
Disney.
yeah, yeah, no, that's what it was. Disney bought the film and kept it on the shelf and wouldn't release it, probably because they had. Well, I don't know. I don't know why. Weird thing, right? That's odd. That's an odd thing to
Yes.
do. I didn't understand the criticism of it. I didn't understand why people were like, well, this is just a right-wing propaganda film. We're talking about children. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and if you look at there was a Newsweek article that came out, I want to say 2015, talking about the rising problem of child trafficking in Colombia. I mean, we were just talking about it, almost 10 years ago. What changed? It's not like we solved the problem. Nobody went down there. We didn't get a Rambo down there to, hey, all right, you guys are coming with me. We didn't fix it. So we wrote a story about it, like to hear it, here go. And everybody was like, la 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 la. This is not really happening. And I don't get it. Why would you want this to be quieted unless you have something to hide? But
Right.
that's none
Yeah.
of my business.
That's the implication.
None of my business. Just
Yeah.
keep the kids safe. Keep the
That's
kids
I
safe,
just thought that
everybody.
was crazy. And then the fact that it was able to be out in theaters for, I think
Was
it
it
had like
though?
a but
I
didn't they
mean,
extend the
I,
run?
well, they kind of had to, because a lot of theaters were literally blocking it from being in their cities. A lot of cities, excuse me, were blocking it from being in their theaters. I tried to see it in Eugene. There was one theater playing it. We've got 4 theaters here. One of them was playing it. It's
Wow.
uh I mean, there was definite pushback, and that's what I don't understand. Who would push back against helping children?
Yeah, that's wild. I heard some of the theaters were like malfunctioning, like the air conditioning would go out and all this other
Right.
stuff, and
or
then they
or
couldn't.
or the film would somehow cut off midway, or you know what's interesting, actually. I mean, and I'm not putting on my tinfoil hat, but I saw it in the theater with a
I
friend
mean,
of
I was gonna
mine who
say,
took
by
me.
all means, go ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, I saw it in the theater in Long Beach with a friend of mine who took me to see it because it was so powerful. She wanted me to see it in the theater, and we kept noticing, and this was really strange. There was an usher that kept coming into the theater every 15 minutes with their flashlight. And every 15 minutes, they would walk across the front of the theater holding the flashlight in the eyes of everybody sitting in the theater. When has that ever happened in a movie you've ever been to? I've been going to movies since they re-released Song of the South in 1983. You can't see that anymore because it's racist. And that's how old I am. And I've been going to movies my whole life, and I've never, ever seen that behavior from an usher in my life. Just in that one.
No,
Odd.
that
Odd.
is wild.
I mean,
Yeah.
why? Why?
they gotta protect the. I'm not gonna say it. Here, I'll put it up. They gotta protect
Yeah.
the blanks, not the children.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, now, no, you got to be inclusive, J. Curtis Strickland. I don't know if you realize it. It's 2024. They're maps now. Maps.
Yes. Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
No. There's no way I would ever normalize that sort of language. One
The
second.
fact that it has to be normalized proves that it's not normal.
Right. Yeah. It's like when you make so much cause so much of a stink over something like that has been since time immemorial. Like that's a kind of a disgusting term, and we shouldn't try to. It's like Carlin says, when it's like, okay, you've got shell shock, and then he talks about, oh well, then they downgraded it to
Uh,
battle fatigue, and then
mhm.
they just kind of keep making it so that it doesn't sound as bad.
Well, that's what I've said for years, man. It started with tolerance. Tolerance begat acceptance. Acceptance begat celebration. And now we're in the age of endorsement. We no longer can just celebrate it quietly. You have to literally endorse it. Otherwise, you will be called out. Silence is now violence, my friend. So even being Switzerland and being like, hey, listen, we want to stay neutral. You can't do that anymore. You need to take a side or they're gonna milkshake you in the street, man. So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
it's a sad, but this is getting off the. Is this what we came to talk about? I thought we were talking about comedy. God, this ain't
We are.
funny.
No, I mean, like, it's I just think it's interesting because, like I said, there's some sort of cultural pushback against a lot of the, you know, uh, kind of the trash that's out there that's in Hollywood, and I think it's good
I
to
like that. Yeah, I
to
have
highlight that.
confidence in the youth. I think that people complain about these kids these days, these kids. No, 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 no. Kids have always been kids. Kids are the same. It's the parents. The parents have changed. And I think what we're seeing is, the pendulum always swings back. And I think we're starting to see it come back here finally with this newer generation, where hopefully, if they don't get too indoctrinated, they'll at least take a look around and go, wait a minute, some of these things aren't right, at least maybe with their country, where they could look around and go, well, how come, 60% of our paper money has been printed out within the last 4 years? How come my dollar value is about a nickel versus when my grandparents were, out there buying houses for $23,000? And now the average, I'm trying to buy a house right now, and I'm looking at the average income of Americans. I don't know if you know this. It's about $53,000 a year average income. And I'm not stroking my wiener here on your show, but I make much more than that. And I've saved up a good little nut so I can put some down. But the average home cost in America is over $490,000. That's almost $500,000. And
Yep.
they want a certain percentage down, and they'll give you that 30-year mortgage. But this is the crazy thing. The banks will tell you, yeah, you can get that $2,500 a month 2-bedroom apartment, but we're not going to give you a mortgage on a $250,000 home at $900 a month. What? There's no logic behind that. And so we've really screwed ourselves, or at least our parents' generation has screwed us up to the point where we don't have the same abilities, because while housing prices have risen and skyrocketed exponentially, income has steadily increased, but certainly not at the level to keep up with the housing market. So it's damn near impossible for somebody my age, at least in my line of work, unless I'm going to be a Dave Chappelle, to go out and purchase a home. You know what I mean? And so I'm
Right.
trying real hard and I'm working real hard. And that's why I'm putting all these shows in and doing these cruise work, because it's path of least resistance and it's a paycheck and it's steady work. But that's the ultimate goal, man. And it's getting tougher and tougher in this country because we keep printing money like it's newspaper out here.
Yeah, that's true. So what's really unique about doing the cruise work? I mean, it's like a Monday to Friday type thing, and then you pull into different ports, and then you kind of get to go and hang out there. Like, what's the routine, and what's really kind of uh, I guess you could say probably the most interesting thing that you've had happen on one of the cruise shows.
Okay, well, first of all, the jokes are free in this business. They're paying me to travel because that's the big pain in the butt. Uh, a lot of times these ships are going out of New York, Florida, Charlotte, South Carolina, and places on the East Coast. And so I'm flying out there overnight to get there in the morning to board the ship. And then I get on. They have me go through this vessel familiarization, as if I'm going to be saving people if we hit a iceberg on the way to Bermuda. And then I check my schedule, and I might have anywhere from, depending on the ship, I might have no shows to on the bigger ships like the Mardi Gras, Jubilee, the XLs as they call them, the ones with the roller coaster on the roof. Those I'll come on. I might do 5 shows in one day, 30-minute shows. And so depending on the size of the ship, you'll do anywhere from 5 to 10 shows on a contract. And a contract can be, it could be 2, 3 days up to maybe 5, maybe 6, depending on where you're going. And if travel can manage it, sometimes they'll have me get on, say, in Jacksonville. We'll go down to Nassau, and then they'll take us over to Freeport. And since I've done my shows, they'll get me off at Freeport, fly me over to another ship, maybe in Honduras. I'll get on there. I'll do the contract there, and that's basically how it works. And so they give me offers based on my availability. My agent passes those down to me. I say yes or no, depending on what I want to do and when I want to do it. And that's how that is. And my ratings are good. My Carnival people love me. They give me good reports, and so I think Carnival likes me, and I'm happy with them. And then the craziest things ever happened. I hate even sharing this because it makes it look bad, but it really wasn't the company. This was these kids, man. We were working this Italian ship out of New York, and it was during, I want to say, Christmas break or some kind of time when kids were out of school. And it must have been Christmas break because we were at wintertime and we couldn't get to 3 of the 5 ports we were supposed to go to. This is an 9-day cruise, and we're supposed to go to 5 different ports. So that's a long time on the ship. You need those ports to break it up. And we couldn't get to 3 of them because of weather. So we're out there like Columbus, man, just sailing away. And the people are talking mutiny. They're like, when are we going to find land, Captain? Well, it wasn't the adults that were upset about it. It was the damn kids who didn't even pay for the vacation. They were literally gathering together and forming roving gangs based on whatever boroughs they were from in New York. And they were fighting each other in the halls, out on the Lido deck. They're trying to throw each other over from 11 to 10 into the pool. I mean, it was wild. A security guard got his nose broken for the trouble of trying to break up a fight. They literally had to slam watertight doors to secure a couple of kids in while they got the Ziplocs around their hands so they could get them down to the brig. I mean, these kids were wild. I get off stage for my last show, and I was going up to have a cigar on the smoking deck, and it's a beautiful tile floor. And I step out of the elevator, and there's wet floor signs. And I'm looking at them like, somebody spilled some coffee or tea, because that was an odd color. It was blotches of blood, splotches of pools of blood. One kid took a box cutter to another kid. I mean, these kids were wild. And where were the parents? I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking, what they were doing. These kids were, 16, anywhere from like literally from like 13 to 18 years old, 19 years old, roving around, just beating the hell out of each other. It was absolutely wild. It was absolutely wild.
That is crazy. Oh man.
What do you?
Yeah, no,
crazy
Lord of the Flies type stuff.
Oh, I wish. At least there was some order with Lord of the Flies. These guys they're just running around like Bloods and Crips, and then everybody else is Crip walking. So
that's probably more Clockwork Orange-ish than Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, these droogs were definitely they're drinking milk and beating the hell out of each other. One time at a show, this was embarrassing for me. I was working. It was that same ship actually, and the host, her name was Miss Dara. She called herself Cousin Dara because she was family to everybody. And when she gets up stage, she goes, all right, are you ready for a show? And, of course, you get the, and I don't know if you've ever been to a show where the audience gets it right the first time, but generally the audience never gets it right. And you have to say, I think we could do better than that. Hey, are you guys ready for a comedy show? And everybody has to go louder and go, now we're ready. So she was not having it. She was not, these people were not giving it up. And she's not starting this show until we get together and get some energy out there and start clapping. Finally, she lets me take the stage because the audience has now shown their worth and value. Except for one lady in front who's got this pink sweater on, like a hoodie. And I guess she was cold because I couldn't see her arms. They were tucked into her. She had them tucked into her sleeves. Like she pulled them into her sleeves, into her shirt. You know how they do that when you were a kid?
Yeah.
You remember? Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, wait a minute. We can't start this show. I didn't see you clapping. You better start clapping. And she looks at me and she goes, I don't have any arms. So insert foot A into mouth B. And of course, this is, but here's the
Ouch.
thing. I rode with it though. And I go, well, we'll do what you can, just flap something. And it got her laughing, got the audience laughing. Later on, in just before I'm finishing the set, I do this little joke about the captain upset with me saying, Alex Elkin, please report to the navigational bridge and bring all of your luggage, and I go, oh, I got to carry that out. Hey, can you give me a hand? And I point to her and she laughs and everybody laughs and I get off stage. And I'll tell you this, that lady came up to me and she was so grateful and thankful. And I'll tell you why. Her whole life, she's had no arms. She's never had arms her whole life. And everybody treats her like somebody with no arms, But for that moment, when I treated her like a regular person, and yeah, I prodded and poked a little fun at her. I mean, I was an idiot, of course. I didn't realize I wouldn't have done that had I known. But we rode that wave and I included her in society and she got to feel what it felt like to be a normal person where you get to be the butt of the joke every now and again. And it was okay. She was so thankful for that experience that she actually, she came up to tell me, not shake my hand, but she came up to tell me that that's how she felt. And I feel like, if we're going to be inclusive, really inclusive, then we don't need to set our people with extra, with extra out, bring them in. But being part of society means we make fun of everybody. And sometimes that's what we need. We need to make fun of everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And you took a situation that could have been potentially way more awkward. And I will say that's a masterful recovery right there. Cause like you really kind of like something that could have been really tense and could have went the wrong way. You took it and
Sure.
you flipped it and like, made it awesome, So
It's
that's
just
great,
reading a
man.
room. Yeah, it's just reading a room. You understand who you're dealing with, and as long as you can pull it back and draw it onto yourself, and it's like, okay, I'm the idiot here, then it's okay, because nobody's gonna get mad at you for laughing at you. So that's just an old
If you
trick of the
could
trade. But yeah.
if you could open for, I don't know, three of your favorite comedians of all time, who would it be?
If I could open for them,
Yeah.
gosh. Um, no, I'd love to work with Ralphie again. We had a nice couple. We had a good time. Um, I got open for gosh, I don't know. I love Brian Regan. He's my absolute number one hero. I'd love to open for him. Um, I don't know. Yeah,
Well, I meant like they could be alive or dead. They could be like
or
Bill
dead.
Hicks. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I definitely wouldn't want to follow Bill Hicks. There'd be nobody in the room. Uh, he was known for walking people. It's funny as a comedian. Look at Hicks and Carlin, and I can appreciate them for their comedy, and I can understand why people thought they were funny. I never found them funny. I never laughed at Carlin, his stand up anyway, and went ha 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 yes, Uh, but I did agree with him. What I thought was he was more of like a humorist philosopher, a comedic
Yeah.
thinker and I sat there and I'd be like, absolutely. That's just what I didn't know how to put it into words. And that's what I was thinking. It was never, oh my God. But I can understand people that do feel that way. And Hicks was the same way. He was just one of these guys who's like, oh, I never thought about it like that. Oh yeah. But I never really sat there and went, oh man, this is killing me. My guts hurt from laughing. Brian Regan does that. Smothers Brothers did that, but Gosh, yeah, Pryor. I would have loved to work with Pryor, maybe. Yeah. But the weird thing is when you've been in the business as long, and I've met a lot of famous comedians, I met a lot of famous people. The less of them, at least for me, the less of them you want to meet, because 9 times out of 10 they just let you down because they're just regular people and they're probably having
Sure,
some
yeah.
crap day and they didn't have the oat milk or at Starbucks this morning, or somebody pulled their dryer out of the socks out of the dryer too early and they're damp, and they're just something happened. They got a hangnail they're dealing with and it sucks, and you catch them on that day, and then that's your opinion. God, I can't believe Jack Black is a horrible person. He wouldn't sign my buttock. It's like, well, he was taking a whiz at the moment, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Johnny Jello showing up wearing his
Johnny
coat.
Jello. Um,
The comedian out of Arizona.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those old aphorisms, don't meet your heroes type things, but that you could
But
actually
it's
meet them, and
true.
then your perception of them, or have you ever experienced, I'm sure you have, like, where somebody will tell you, oh, that person's an awful person. They, their reputation kind of precedes them a little bit, but then you meet them and they're like, oh, they're really not that bad, like,
Yeah,
have you ever
of
experienced
course.
that? Yeah.
Oh, of course. All the time. you know, uh, uh, you just can't believe what you hear about other people from other people. You have to experience them yourself. Uh, I mean, other than maybe Hitler, I think I think most
Yeah,
people
I
should get
think
the
we can
benefit.
all agree on that one, definitely.
Most people should get the benefit of the doubt. I guess, and
Yeah.
try them out, see if they suck. Uh, yeah, I've never. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and talk crap on the comics that I hate, but there's a bunch of them, and it's because I've met them, and I know them.
All
There's a
right.
couple I like.
Let's see. All right. Johnny says, "Got to remember that your hero is another person too. We're all flawed in some way." Yeah,
Yeah, thanks a
that's a
lot,
good way of
Johnny.
putting it.
Listen, when your interview comes up, you can bring up all the little witticisms you want to, but this is my time now, okay? So night night, Johnny Jello, night night.
Oh, Joe Bando's here. What a great guest. So
What up,
animated and
Bando?
entertaining. Bando.
That
Bando's
guy,
got a
he's making some
podcast that
waves.
he's. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm seeing
Oh, Bando's got a
all his
podcast.
shorts popping up on
I
my.
haven't gotten the invite.
Oh, I think he's not really focusing LMAO on it that heavily, but should be a good thing once he gets it going. Um, Now, like as far as like comedy goals, like what do you see yourself doing like in the next 5 years or so, aside from the cruise ship circuit?
Aside from cruise ship is just a means to an end. It's steady work, like I said, in the paycheck right now, and it's putting money in the little coffers so I can get that house that's so freaking unattainable.
Sure.
And in the long run, what I'd really like to do is I'd like to really grow my voice acting portfolio. I'd like to jump into more mainstream work and bigger work, and maybe something where I can get some residuals. Uh, I would like to take what I've learned from my stage show that I produced with another comedian called Stand Up for America, Comedy for Patriots, which got me into all that trouble with the left. I'd like to take what I've learned with that and do another theater show and really promote it and sell out some theaters, and because I enjoy doing that, and I like to bring in different aspects of my talent. I like to do the voices and music and animation and comedy and poetry and whatever else I can throw out there, so that it's a well-rounded show. People feel like they're paid to see something, and so I'd like to see that happening. I know the cruise ship thing won't be forever. I don't know how much longer it's really going to be, actually, because it's a corporate gig, and my mouth gets me in trouble
Yeah.
all the time. Any day now, I'm just waiting for that phone call where like, oh, somebody complained, and they're not going to use you anymore. So once that happens, it doesn't scare me. I can go back to doing one-nighters and bar gigs, and I've gained enough of a following now, I think, where I can put myself in just about any city, and I've got enough backing behind me to where I can promote it enough to fill the seats and go anywhere I want. And that's the great thing about this business. So I'm not locked in anywhere. But as far as goals, I'm achieving what I've always wanted, man. I'm doing what I love. My wife doesn't have to work. My kids are happy and healthy and clothed, and I get to take them with me once in a while when I do the gigs, and all the bills are paid. I mean, it's what more do you really
That's
want, man? It's
awesome.
beautiful.
Yeah,
I
really.
wish
I
it wasn't
mean,
raining,
like
but other than that,
I'm kind of with you in the boat of like being famous terrorizes, scares me as well. I think I'd just rather like be able to do what I like on a, at least s- somewhat of a level to where you get some sort of income, and then that's just enough, and like don't have
yeah,
to be like a superstar or anything like that, just so I can, yeah, keep the lights on, do all that, pay the bills. What
right.
more could you ask
And
for, really?
and with music, at least I find with music, it's a little different because comics, I don't know what happened to us, man. We got dropped on our heads. We didn't get hugged by our mommies enough, but we we crave and demand that attention. You know what I mean? That's what draws us to this. We're literally seeking the approval of total strangers through laughter with our thoughts. Music, boy, you could do that in a room by yourself and please nobody but you, and it's okay. If I do comedy by myself, it sucks. That's just a circle jerk, and nobody wants to do that. So that's what kind of separates it. So music, you can be in a studio with your buddies, and it's smoky and it's gritty and it's raw and it stinks, and you put out some of the greatest sounds you've ever put out there. And whether or not you get that recognition from anybody else, it doesn't really matter because you've created it and it's there. It helps. You want that recognition because it comes with the money and all that. But with comedy, if you don't get that recognition, there's nothing there. It's empty. It's pointless. It's drab. It's blah. If I tell a joke and nobody laughs, that's not comedy. That's a Hannah Gadsby special. Oh, anyway, it's
This
it,
this would
it,
not be the first time her name came up on this show.
oh,
So,
that's a girl. Anyway, um,
oh,
I don't know. I'm being controversial,
oh no.
but you want that as a comic, and so there's a little bit of it that I crave. I like that recognition. I like to hear good job. I want the laughter, of course, but speaking of the ships, that little bit of celebrity, that taste of celebrity that I get on the ship, where I've introduced myself to about 4,000 people, and we can't help but run into each other when we're going to the buffet or
Sure.
walking around outside. And I get those, hey, great job, or hey, can I get a picture with you, or hey, can I, whatever, whatever, whatever. That I don't mind because it's for a limited time and I can go away from it anytime I want to. I couldn't imagine that in the real world. That would be a scary thing. You go into a restaurant
Yeah.
and somebody comes up and they want to talk to you and you got your kid in your hand, or you're at the grocery store or, anywhere, and the perfect stranger knows you. And the thing about comedy, man, you're revealing intimate details about yourself on stage to 200, 300, 400, sometimes thousands of people at one time. And the thing is they develop a connection with you because you're now revealing these intimate details of your life that they're connecting with. And so they've created this bond, this friendship. But the difference is I haven't created that with you. You're just my audience. I'm one person that you've created that with me. So now when I get off stage, you feel like you know me. So you can talk to me in a certain way and you can, or you feel that anyway. And it's strange for me. And I couldn't imagine being a real celebrity and having that feeling where it's like, oh, I saw this guy's movie, so he owes me a relationship.
Conversation.
He doesn't realize how close I am to this character he played or this thing that he said. So if he only knew, then he would know how close we should be. And they develop that in their heads. And I'll give you an example real quick. I don't know how much time we have, but it was Christmas time and I was buying a rib roast at the local Albertsons, and the guy recognized my voice from the radio show I used to do. And he goes, "Hey man,
Oh
are you
wow.
doing any stand-up comedy locally?" And I was like, "Yeah, here's my business card," which had my website and my phone number on it. I said, check out my calendar, and maybe when I'm doing a local show, let me know and I'll make sure you guys get a couple of tickets. Oh, that'd be awesome. 1 a.m. that same night, I'm woken up to a text message from this guy. "Hey man, it's the butcher from Albertsons. I got to talk to you right now." And I'm like, bro, unless this is a recall on my rib roast, what could we possibly have to talk about at 1 a.m? Well, it turns out he developed this kind of relationship with me because he listened to my radio show where I'm being intimate. I'm telling you about my life. And so
Sure.
he's relating to that. And he's become now somebody in my life that I don't even know, but he knows me. And they create that out there. And boy, if that was out in the real world to, the Brad Pitts or the Dave Chappelles or the Dana Carveys or whoever you want to name, that's got to be frightening. The little taste of it I
Yeah.
get on the ship, that's enough. That's plenty. I don't want any more. And that's why I'm not chasing it, man. I'm not chasing the big fame.
Let's see here. Alex bit about the one ply toilet paper and then strangers getting their food at the buffet. Classic.
Yeah. It's always hilarious when you put it like that. Yeah, that's great. I'm known for my bathroom humor. my toilet joke, my toilet paper jokes, A plus. Thank you,
Let's
Kevin.
see here.
Yes, I love that one.
Johnny Jello says I watched Cobra Kai 3 times. William Zabka owes me karate lessons.
Exactly. Don't be funnier than me on my interview, Johnny Jello. Get the hell out of here, you son.
That's great. Now, I mean, what was that movie with uh, Robert De Niro and Wesley Snipes, The Fan, where he was like super obsessed with the baseball player? Did you
Oh
ever see
yeah,
that
I didn't
one?
see that. No, I didn't see it. Was
Oh,
it a
it's
comedy?
crazy good. Yeah,
Oh,
The Fan.
I gotta. I'll check it out, but I'm hesitant, and I'll tell you why. And people, you can crucify me for this if you want to. I'll just say it. Robert De Niro has no business doing comedy. Robert De Niro is not funny. Robert De Niro is a great dramatic actor. He can do suspense, he can do crime, he can do drama. But that man is the farthest thing from funny I've ever seen, ever. And whoever told him that he should do comedies should have their SAG card shredded up and shoved into their pee-pee hole.
Uh, oh man,
He's not funny. He's not funny. He's not funny. I don't know.
I
I don't know.
heard.
I don't know who told him he
Is that
should.
I've never seen The King of Comedy. He's not good in that.
He's not funny.
Oh,
He's not funny. He's never. He's not funny. He's just not. I don't know how else to put it. Anyway.
um, let's see here. David King says, "I loved your Biden routine."
Oh God. A lot of people ask me, "Hey, I bet you make fun of Joe Biden. I bet you got some good Biden jokes. I bet you stick it to old Sleepy Joe." And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't really like to make fun of Alzheimer's. That's not funny. But I do have some Biden material. Who doesn't? You got to make fun of the president. Look, I don't care how you feel about politics. They're politicians. They are there to be made fun of. The crazy stuff that they do, and the detrimental stuff that they do, it should be laughed at, and at the very least talked about. And like I said, if you're going to tell people the truth, make sure they're laughing. Otherwise, they will kill you.
That is very true. What do you do like when you're not performing comedy? What do you as far as like entertainment, what do you really get into as far as films are concerned? What are you reading? New
Right now,
music,
I'm
new
in the middle
bands?
of. I love autobiographies, biographies. Right now, we're in the middle of Michael Caine's autobiography. That's a fun one to read. It's a little outdated though, because he's talking about Sidney Poitier as if he's still alive. But I love that kind of stuff. I love bios. I love autobios. I do like to read. You know what I dig? I dig classic video games like 70s, 80s, 90s. Anywhere from Commodore 64 on up to
Oh man, I
I
had a
think probably Sega
C64.
Genesis. Yeah. Sega Genesis was probably like the latest system that I bought before I had kids, and then it was the Wii and all that stuff. But I bought myself this little retro Pi that I've been taking on the road with me, and I could plug it into the TV on the ships. And I'll sit there and I'll play Super Mario Brothers or some old Sega Genesis games or Master System games that I used to love, and just have a good old time playing, Frogger, for God's sakes. I love that stuff.
David King says your ad lib interaction with the audience is awesome.
Thank you, David King. I took inspiration from the amazing, legendary comedian Matt Rife, who, I don't know if you know this, is the inventor of crowd work and ad lib. So a lot of the inspiration was watching him and seeing what he does. Now I'm just an amateur compared to to him. He's been doing comedy at least 4 or 5 years. But yeah, thank you. That's flattering. I do appreciate that.
Rowdy Jello says retro pie, baby.
That's right. Of course, any pie, really.
Um, let's see here. Any series you're watching? Anything good lately grace your television screen?
Yeah, I like to get into shows. You know what I really got into was Yellowstone. And then I got into
Mm,
1883, which I really dug. And then I was getting into 1923, and I really liked that. But Yellowstone left me hanging here. I think it was like season 5.5. And Kevin Costner's pissed about something. They were going to bring in McConaughey, and now they're not. And there's all this, blah, blah, blah. And, these shows now, it started with for me, with The Walking Dead. I got into it. I loved it. And then you're going to make me wait a year and a half to see the next season. Well, by then I don't care anymore. I've lost interest. I don't know the story. I don't want to rewatch it to follow it. I was in the moment then, not so much now. So a lot of these shows, they lose me
yeah,
when I have to wait and wait and wait. So I've been
yeah.
getting
I
into a
think
lot of,
I dipped out of Walking Dead like middle of the sixth season. Just kind of
yeah,
lost me, you know.
I don't. And now they got the dog Walking Dead and the fast walker, the jogging dead and everything. I'm just making this up. I don't know, but they got so many dead shows. You know.
Yeah, they do have quite a few. Let's see here. Corey Hughes is laughing. Um,
Corey, good to see you, buddy.
what do you do like to just kind of like um unwind? Like do you ever like get out in nature? Do you meditate? You do anything like that?
That's funny. I do some drugs every now and again. Sure, get out and hit some mushrooms once a summer. We have a sea-doo that we like to get out on the lake in the summertime. We really, I could sit at the piano or the guitar for hours and hours and hours and just pluck around and play tunes and jam with the kids, and I just love that kind of stuff. So when I'm not busy, being home is the vacation. A lot of people are like, "Oh, it must be great going to all these exotic places," and I'm not complaining. I love the sunshine, but being home is the vacation. So when I'm home, it's man, I just like to chill out. I like to play music. I like to smoke meats. I'm a big smoker of meats. I do a lot of brisket and bacon and chicken and all that good stuff and cheeses. I like to cook, and yeah. Other than that, just try to keep it simple.
All right, on. All right, let's see here. Go back. I missed this comment here earlier. Johnny Jello said the bills are paid, the pizza is fresh. Baba go.
Hey, gotta go. We went to this pizza place together. It was we worked a weekend in Gilbert, Arizona, and we went to this pizza place, and it was just phenomenal. Great food. Can't remember the
Best
name of it.
place to ever play. Like, what's favorite area of the country, or even one of the cruise stops?
Man, uh, wherever the check clears, really. I I love my Texas folks. I love my Galveston people. So I like to work cruises out of there. Um, but you know what I really enjoy? Southern Oregon, honestly, Medford, Grants Pass, Rogue River area. Those people, man, they're just my folks. I've recorded actually a couple of different albums down there just because I like them. They always show up. They always represent. They're good folks. But anybody that digs my comedy, man, those are my people. Because at this point, I do it. I do it because I love it, but I love it because I love them. I love the response. I love seeing them coming out to the shows and going, "Hey, we saw you here," and or we watched you on YouTube and we came out anyway. I love that kind of response. I love to know people are digging it. Brooklyn V's.
Jello says
That's right. That
Brooklyn
was the place.
V's. Yeah. Well, let's see here. Now PETA will be after you.
Gotta get off this. We'll finish this up and we'll go.
Um, Let's see here. Okay. All right. Any up and coming comics in your area that you feel like deserve recognition, people that are really kind of making their way up?
Nope. Nope. Hate them all. Every single one of them, backstabbing bastards.
Single
Every
one.
single one of them. I,
Joe
I
Bando too.
wouldn't. You said my area. Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, it doesn't
I
have
love.
to be region specific, I suppose, but I mean,
Okay,
just
okay, yeah. No, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, got to check out Joe Bando. I love. Um, well, I mean, not that he needs my help, but Shane Gillis is killing it. I love how truthful he
Shane
is.
Gillis, man, like I just recently, because I heard about his whole controversy back in the day being fired from Saturday Night Live, and then now he's hosting Saturday Night Live. Like that's got to be like it's like poetic justice.
Oh, it's got to feel good. Yeah,
Yeah.
When Norm Macdonald did it, I think he said it best. Either the show really sucks, or I'm funny again. Because they fired him for not being funny. That's what they
That's
said.
right.
Anyway,
That's
but
right. But his delivery was always great. It was always so like, deadpan and like, you know, you didn't know if you should laugh or not. And at
yeah,
that
you
point,
loved
he's
him or
already
you hated him.
got
You
you.
didn't know. Yeah, you didn't
Yeah.
know. He was brilliant. He was just brilliant. I loved him.
Let's see
Uh,
here. Dead comic TV show executive producer Alex Elkin.
yeah, right. I'm dead naming. That's all.
Well, cool, man. Well, anything you want to promote here coming up real quick before we end the show here?
Absolutely, yeah. So there's a film out right now. You can look it up. It's called Advanced Chemistry, just like you didn't take in high school. Advanced Chemistry. It's starring Shantae Wayans and Samba Shoot, and I got a small part in there. And they liked me so much on set that I actually got to write my own lines, and I got a line in the movie. So that was kind of
Nice.
cool. Made me SAG eligible. So look for that. Look for Advanced Chemistry with Shantae Wayans. It's kind of funny. Totally outside of the realm of anything that I would produce or do, but I said yes because it was a paycheck. So check that out. I've got we talked about Dry Bar, which is clean comedy. There's a lot
Seen
of
Dry
great
Bar a
dry
few
bar,
times. Yeah,
yeah, a lot of great dry bar comedy specials out there. I don't
definitely.
have one. They don't like me. So I'm doing what's called an open bar comedy special where they're letting me be me. And I've got an open bar comedy special coming out in the next couple of months. So keep an eye out to Open Bar. Give them a follow on TikTok and anywhere else you stream your comedy. Open Bar Comedy. Very funny, guys. And it's the people that you don't see. It's like we were talking about, the ones that are grinding out there on the road every day. Really funny stuff. So check out my Open
Yeah.
Bar special coming up. You can go to my website, alexelkin.com, and I got my comedy calendar there. So you can look at all my dates on cruises. If you're thinking about taking a cruise and you want to go somewhere fun with me, please feel free to take a look at the ships that I'm on and come jump on with me. Other than that, I got land gigs all over the country. Literally, I'm going to be everywhere. So check me out in Florida and Arizona, California, and all kinds of great stuff. May the 4th, if you are in LA, I'm going to be raising money doing comedy with the creator of the Babylon Bee and a couple of other really funny characters. Adam Yenser, who was on Ellen, he was a Emmy winning comedy writer, and then myself. And we're going to be raising money for a guy who was unjustly arrested for being at the J6. So we're going to go out there and raise a little money for him, take care of his legal fees, hopefully. So if you can come out and support that, go to malacomedy.com. That's Make America Laugh Again comedy.com. MALA comedy.com. Anyway, that's what's coming up with me. I'm all over the place. And in a few minutes, I'm going to help my 19-year-old hopefully go buy a new truck for him. So that's what's on my agenda.
Oh, awesome. Awesome, man. Well, cool. I'll be sure to post all the links for all of that down here in the comment section. I'll pin them up at the top. And dude, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate being able to hear about all your endeavors, man. I'm gonna probably have some questions for you later, but let's see here. Okay, so as you can see on the banner there, I run a merchandising company. It's called Hell's Heart Merch Co. hellsheartco.bigcartel.com. If you use the code 20, you get 20% off your entire purchase of my shirts, and I do little things here and there. And so let me throw up some samples here real quick.
If you like
Like
it, support it.
here's the Hell's Heart Black Flag. Here's Bullet. Here's a Psycho 2. Here's a Scream Glow in the Dark.
I'm
I'm
sure
getting
she's a
the
nice lady.
Scream Glow in the Dark. All right. So yeah, go on over there, support, like, comment, share, subscribe, click on the bell for notifications. That would be greatly appreciated. And like I said, I'll be posting in the links in the comment section. So just go on over and support Alex Elkin at all of his digital platforms. All right, everybody. I want to thank you all so much. Namaste. God bless. Be good. Alex Elkin. Thanks, bro.
Thanks, everybody.